Hello, fellow Gurdjieff people and others. Nice to have you all here. I thought today I would talk about Hanbledzion. Hanbledzoin. 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 So Gurdjieff discusses this quite often in many of his books. It's a special word that he's used to have a certain meaning. And I'm going to just do a few of the quotes from where this word is used. So Hanbledzion. In life is real only then when I am, on page 25. The exceptional power in my possession, based upon strength in the field of Hanbledzion, or as it would be called by others, the power of telepathy and hypnotism. So it's a special energy that we can create, this power that we can develop. But he does say telepathy and hypnotism can be seen as a bit of a waste of your energies, or maybe it's the lower versions of using this power. We should be using it for our own development and not to be misusing it with other people, because then it becomes black magic. We don't want black magic, we want to be white magicians. So from All and Everything, page 568. Sorry, couldn't read my writing then. They soon found out how to obtain it, that special state, with the help of what is called being hanbledzoin, that cosmic substance whose essence the free brain beings of contemporary civilization came close to understanding, and which they named animal magnetism. And it's talked about in many books and things and philosophies. You know, this is what Mesmer was working with, the animal magnetism. And I did a show with Claire on my YouTube channel all about Mesmer and the connections with Gurdjieff, if there are any, and you can find that in the video section of the channel. Brilliant talk with her. She really knows her stuff and has written a book on Mesmer as well. So Hanbledzion is nothing else than the blood of the Keshjan body of the being. It serves for nourishing and perfecting the body Keshjan. I did a show about that a few days ago. So the Keshjan is one of the bodies we want to develop to work with the soul, for the soul to go into, and is also can be worked with whilst we're alive, and we need it when we pass over for our soul to enter. The substances which are designed for serving the Keshjan body, the totality of which is called Hanbledzion, are obtained from the transformation of elements of other planets and of the sun itself of that system. The sun, solar power, as Gurdjieff said, he's come to sell us solar energy, and we are trying to create that in ourselves. Right, so Hanbledzion are obtained from the transformation of elements of other planets and of the sun itself of that system, where the given free brain being has the place of his horizon in existence. Finally, that part of the being blood which almost everywhere is called the sacred being Hanbledzion, and which part serves the highest part of the being called the soul, is formed from the direct emanations of our most holy Son Absolute. So them energies, them emanations are coming from the heaven, where our divine source is, where his endlessness resides. You know, the divine source is working with our soul. That's when I've been saying in other shows, we're trying to connect with the divine source and or God, or whatever you want to call it. And in us, in this life, in this body, it's the conscience. Conscience is a divine spark, and we're trying to reach back up towards it so that then we can feel the divine sources, blessings, grace, whatever you want to call it, coming down upon us. So continuing page 568. Substances required for the blood of the planetary body enter into them through food. Remember, Gurdjieff says there's three foods: air, food we eat, and impressions. The substances needed both for coating and perfecting the higher being body Keshjan enter through their breathing and through certain pores of their skin. The sacred cosmic substances required for the coating of the highest being body, which sacred being part they call soul, can be assimilated and transformed and coated in them exclusively only from the process of, one of Gurdjieff's words here, I to Rasanian contemplation, actualized in their common presence by the cognized intention on the part of all their spiritualized independent parts. So this, I have to read from the book because I can never remember how to say it. Isoritanian contemplation, all part of helping us develop our soul. And as I've been saying in other shows, it's all part of the cosmic maintenance, all part of the cosmic laws that we need to attune with so that we can develop ourselves and our souls. The soul's the most important thing. And as I've been doing other shows, not just on Gurdjieff, but other shows further back over the last year, it's our souls we need right now. SOS, save our souls. It's our souls that the dark forces are after. It's our souls we've got to develop so we can shine light and go forth and develop ourselves. So all in everything, page 579. At first, I brought them into the hypnotic state by acting upon them with my own hanbledzoin. But when, from the being impulse called love of kind, I had to produce this said state in very many free brain beings for their personal benefit, and as this means proved very harmful for my being existence, I invented another means, thanks to which I obtained the same effect without the expenditure of my own hanbledzoin. So we need that hanbledzoin for ourselves, but we can use it with others, but only if we're developed enough to be able to spare some. We really should be working on ourselves. And I know we should be looking out for everybody else as well, but we can't do anything until we've developed our own selves and developed our own souls. By means of a certain hindering of the movement of the blood in certain blood vessels, I obtained the result that although the already mechanized tempo of the blood circulation of the awakened state remained in beings, yet at the same time their real consciousness, which they call subconsciousness, began also to function. And you've got to remember that Gurdjieff says that our subconsciousness, when we had the Kunda buffer, we made it go down, which is why it's the subconsciousness, and instead start listening to this consciousness that our Kunda buffer was enjoying, of pleasure, enjoyment, where our subconsciousness is trying to tell us what we really need in this life. It's our subconsciousness that's saying to us to do the work in the beginning, but as we work more on ourselves, it starts, our consciousness starts to listen. Our different eyes hopefully are gathered together by the deputy steward so that our real genuine eyes coming out, and then we want to work with all of ourselves. So on All in Everything, page 760, Gurdjieff explains that the radiations issuing from the tertato cosmoses, they called hanbledzoin, so it can be sent out. We can expand with it. And maybe this is the things that Christ had, and Buddha and people like that. They managed to develop themselves at their magnetic center, and their charisma was in such a genuine, real way that people were drawn to it because they could send it out. They were probably emanating it as they walked about and as they talked. It's the old, they didn't just talk the talk, they walked the walk kind of thing. It's difficult to find people that can walk the walk as well as talk the talk. So All in Everything, page 1200. The body is connected to the feeling organization by the blood, and the feeling organization is connected to the organization actualizing the function of mentation or consciousness by what is called hanbledzoin. That is, by that substance which arises in the common presence of a man from all intentionally made being efforts. And that's what we're doing, isn't it? We're trying to develop our being with all our effort. With being efforts through all this. So I'm going to go to In Search of the Miraculous. He's going to discuss the hydrogens. I get the hydrogens a bit confused, and I've never been great with numbers. This is why we all come at it from different angles, but I'll still read the quotes, and I'm sure they make sense to some of you. Real objective results can be obtained only after the transmutation of Mi 12 has begun. So talking about the octave, do re mi fa sol la si do. The thinking or intellectual center is the slowest of the three centers we have examined up till now. So this is Ouspensky talking about this in Search for Miraculous, page 193. It works with H48, hydrogen 48. The moving center works with hydrogen 24, H24. The emotional center can work with H12. In reality, however, it is very seldom works with this fine H. The higher centers exist in man and are fully developed. It is the lack of development or the incomplete functioning of the lower centers that prevents us from making use of the work of the higher centers. So we need to develop our lower centers so we can get in touch with the higher centers. And hanbledzion is one of the processes of that. The higher emotional center working with H12, the higher thinking center working with H6. If the emotional center were to work with H12, its work would be connected with the work of the higher emotional center. The higher thinking center working with H6 is still further removed from us, still less accessible. Connection is only possible through the higher emotional center. It is only from the descriptions of mystical experiences, ecstatic states, that we can know cases of such connections. And with the hydrogens, obviously, the lower the number, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, you know, the higher the energies it is creating or we're working with. And then the higher the number, the more denser it is. The finer it is, the lower the number, even though it's nearer to 1. I made a bit of a mess of that, sorry. So we need to start concentrating on our energies and what we're doing and what we're working with them and how we're making all them processes work. And all and everything has, it's like the tech book for it all. It explains it all. Okay, it can be quite difficult to read through, but some of you might pick it up easily. Some of you might need to think about it. I'm not particularly mechanically minded, but by keeping on at this work, I've began to pick it up. I highly recommend Keith Buzzell's books on these. He has a fantastic set of books on how all the cosmology works on throughout the whole universe and on us, and how we can adapt it to our lives. So I know I'm passing you on to other books, but you know, these people can say it much better than I can. Thanks to everybody for listening. Thanks to watching, and keep up the good work. Till next time.